say that showing interest in doing...
You can be seated.
Oh. Would you say that showing interest in things that you do every time, every day, is equivalent to meditation?
Showing interest in doing things in... What you repeat?
What I mean to say is, if you are not interested in things that you are doing, your efficiency is reduced and you are feeling very irritated, you're like as though you're being compelled or something. But if you show really true interest, is that equivalent to meditation?
Yes. There are one thing, what you say I agree. If you show the true interest in what you do, is it meditation? If you show the true interest in what you do is meditation, I tell you, there are many things which you are supposed to do in your life, even if you don't have interest, even if you don't have the so-called interest. I tell you, the idea that you have interest or you don't have interest itself is an idea created by mind. You can penetrate even that. Even that can be penetrated. Now, as of now, you start with the things with which you have interest. But don't stop there. If you stop there, again you will be concentrating on some one thing. I tell you, spread this awareness throughout your day. Even if you have to do something which you don't want to do it with full awareness. Then you will see that your idea that you don't have interest will disappear, will be melted away. That very idea that you don't have interest is nothing but the idea which is created by your mind. The awareness or the meditation can simply melt the idea that you don't have interest in something. It can create tremendous interest in everything, whatever you do. But to start, you start with the things with which you have interest. But spread the awareness throughout the day. Let this spread like a quality in your 24 hours. Then you will see even the idea that you don't have interest on something will disappear. Whatever you think you are forced to do, whenever you say you are forced to do something, it means you don't have interest. Even that very idea will disappear. You will start feeling, the interest will be created tremendously in everything which you do.
In order to have a better social life, would you recommend someone to be sentimental or philosophical?
Both are wrong. Both are impractical. The man who is sentimental is past oriented. The man who is philosophical is future oriented. The man who works on the head, who works on the logic, who works in the plane of intellect is always future oriented. That is why all the philosophers try to change the world, try to change the future. All the philosophers try to change the future. Never, I can say, never in this universe revolution has happened. All revolution will become again one more tradition in few years. Just in few years, all revolution, if you see the history of the humanity, all revolution, just because they become successful, their tradition, they named it as a revolution. When the communists are successful, their tradition is declared as a revolution. Every tradition, when they are successful, they call it themselves as a revolution. But no revolution happens on the planet Earth. It is just only traditions. Trying to change the future, trying to change the whole society never happens. Only you can change individuals. That is why all the philosophers, if you see their last life, they die in frustration. Philosophy means they have to die in frustration. No other way. Yeah. Small incident which really happened in Socrates' life. A young man went to Socrates and asked, "Sir, should I marry? Can you recommend marriage for me?" Socrates said, surely you should marry. That man asked, Socrates himself did not have a successful married life. She used to beat him, and he used to be he used to always sit outside the house. He will never enter the house, and he used to be, what to say, frightened or afraid of her. That man asked, why you did not have a happy married life? Why do you recommend marriage for me? Socrates replied, if you get a good wife, happy life, then perfectly alright. You will have a joyful life. It is good for you. If you get like mine, at least you will become a philosopher. So it is good for the society. Either it is good for you or for the society. Both the way, it is good, go ahead. All philosophers, you can see, have you heard of this Dale Carnegie? The man who wrote great books, 2 books, the How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and How to Win Friends and Influence People. Any of you have read that book? Next to Bible, that book is printed. Next to Bible. Not only bestsellers, next to Bible, the book is printed. Any of you have read his biography? Anyone? He committed suicide because he was not able to live with his wife. He committed suicide. Almost everybody who tries to change the society, who tries to live in the philosophical zone, will end only in frustration. So philosophy also is not going to help. Sentimental means emotional. Living in the heart. You will see always the people who live in the heart, they will be past oriented. The artist also, you can see the ray or the line of the or shadow of the sorrow in their life, misery in their life. Life is not going to be happy if you are philosophical or sentimental. Life is going to be happy only when you are practical. Only when you know to handle both. Philosophical means future will handle you. Sentimental means past will handle you. Practical means you can handle both. When you know how to handle your head, when you know how to handle your heart, only then your social life will be beautiful. That's why I say a villager, a common man will be more joyful, more happy than a great philosopher or a great poet. Because in both of their cases, one portion has sucked too much of energy. The memories of the past have sucked too much of energy. That will be pulling them. In philosopher's case, memories of the future, thinking about the future, would have sucked too much of energy. That will be pushing them. So they can never have a proper social life, a joyful social life. So joyful social life needs a maturity with which you can handle both. You are sentimental and philosophical.
I want to ask one. You mentioned we have 5 layers. No one even tried to touch the second layer. The 5th layer is bliss. I was wondering whether you can talk a little about what is that layer, bliss? What is that bliss? Is it a God or completeness?
The feeling of fulfillment, or the feeling of being present here, feeling of ecstasy again and again. That's what I'm stuck. The words are so poor to express it. I can tell you 2-3 symptoms of bliss. Actually, I can't tell exactly what is bliss, but 2-3 symptoms of bliss. If bliss happens to you, what happens? I can tell only 2-3 symptoms of bliss. One symptom. Early morning, when you get up from your bed, if you go to your bathroom, the steps from bed to the bathroom will not be like steps, it will be more like a dance. The first moment, when you are out of subconscious, that moment will be ecstatic. Now, as on now, it's a hangover. Now, as soon as you get up, as soon as you come out of the subconscious, what is the feeling? Most of the time, we just want to roll. Drowsiness means a heavy subconscious. Your unfulfilled desires or suppressed fears, they both only create subconscious. They both create a layer of dream or a layer of disturbed sleep. So when you come out of the sleep early morning, you don't feel a fulfilled feeling. You don't feel your full life. When bliss happens to you, when you touch that fifth layer of bliss, early morning, as soon as you come out of the sleep, you can see the kids, they'll be just jumping around. You will feel a tremendous vibrancy, energy, aliveness, activeness. First thing. The next thing, whatever happens to the life, the physical world, nothing can touch you. You will be above everything. You will have a deep, deep-rooted settledness, settled feeling. Anything may happen around you, good or bad, you will have a smiling face. Not only smiling face, smiling being to walk throughout your life. And third thing, even at the end of the life, the last phase of the life, which we call it as death. Death will not be end, it will be more like a climax. It will be more like a peak of your life. It will not be moment with sorrow or with sadness. It will be moment with gratitude that you have come, you have lived, you have achieved what you are supposed to achieve. Now you can naturally leave this planet Earth. It will be more like a ripe fruit falling from the tree. So, if bliss happens to you, the first thing, you will not have the hangover of subconsciousness, the suppressed desire and suppressed fears. Next thing, whole day, every moment of your life, you will be able to face, you will be able to live through a smile. Now, even if you have to meet a friend, you need to prepare a script, what you should talk to him, what way you should react with him. If you ask this question, what should I reply? If you ask that question, how I will behave? And if you ask one thing which you have not imagined, you make the whole thing mess, or you feel you are at loss. When you touch the layer of bliss, you will not have that. You will have a tremendous spontaneity. It's more like a intelligence, tremendous spontaneity, ability to respond spontaneously is what I call responsibility. Ability to respond. You will be able to live every moment of your life joyfully. The end, you will be able to leave the earth joyfully. From the first moment, you will be able to wake up joyfully. You will be able to live joyfully. You will be able to disappear joyfully. That is what I call bliss. We can't call this bliss as a God. God is something above than bliss. That is what they call Atman. God is one layer above than bliss. When the bliss has become a solid thing, it can be called as God. When the God becomes a practical thing, it is called bliss. It's like a original laws and applied laws. Applied physics is bliss, just like applied physics. When you bring the physics to application, when the same way when you bring the God to the application, he becomes bliss.